Thanks for tuning in to our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an e-commerce and dropshipping business for sale in the food and beverage niche. Created in March 2017, this business makes an average of $2,409 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this business is 46859. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the asset they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Jaakko.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you on. So before we get started, I'm going to go over a quick summary of the business. This business was built in March 2017. This business has monthly revenue of $17,108 per month and is producing an average net profit of $2,409, and that's based on a 9-month average. Included in the sale of this business are 2 domains and all site content files, email list, social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, SOPs outlining business operations, and supplier contracts and relationships. So, Jaakko, can you tell me a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Well, I started about 3 years ago. I wanted to have a location-independent business, and I've been working on this store from the beginning. So even though I launched in 2017, I actually started working on this store already in 2016.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the initial birth of this business. How did you come up with the idea for this business in particular?
There was a couple of months that I was thinking about the type of product that I wanted to sell, and it has evolved over time a little bit. So the kind of like this is the second iteration of the store, and the first type of product that I decided on was related to the main type of products that I'm currently selling, but it was a little bit different type of product. So I can go into the details probably a little bit later on this interview.
Yeah, definitely. We've got some more follow-up questions about all the nitty-gritty details of the business coming for you soon. Before we get to that, tell me a little bit about, why you chose this business model, why this mix of e-commerce and drop shipping. What led you to that?
Well, the first thing I wanted to have was just a location-independent business to make money while traveling. So that was my number one reason. And then I was looking into different types of businesses and different types of methods of doing dropshipping. And obviously the AliExpress model was something that I considered, but in the end, I decided that doing this kind of a high-ticket dropshipping would be clearly better model because when the average ticket price or the item price is higher, there is much more profit to be had per sale, much less work per sale, and it just works very well. And it has done that for these years.
Oh, that's good. What about the niche? Why did you choose this niche, this business?
Well, the niche was something that I had a little bit experience of previously, but the main idea for the main type of product, it actually more like B2C market. I found out that it was more like a volume type of business and not that beginner friendly. I think it could still be done online. It's actually easier for me as a kind of a beginner to focus more on the B2B side of this business, which may sound a little bit weird because people usually see B2B as more complicated, requiring more skills, but it's actually not like that. Going to the B2B was the clearly better choice for this store.
Yeah, I think, diving a little bit more into the B2B topic, it leads me to my next question, which is, how does this primarily make money?
Yeah, so basically, currently all of the sales are B2B, and the most common type of sale is somebody orders online. They don't necessarily contact us, although, of course, many people do, but a lot of the sales just happen on their own online, not really active sales needed. But of course, the active sales are part of the store and the ongoing maintenance and like the sending quotes to certain customers. That's definitely one part of the store.
All right, cool. Let's dive into, the reason for sale. Why are you selling this business instead of keeping it or growing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. What happens with, I guess, any kind of business easily is that when you work on something for a few years, it is easy to get stuck on it in your head. And that's what happened to me in 2018. I thought that the business was stagnant and it would be really difficult to grow. But in hindsight, I understand that it was actually just my thinking of the store was really limited. I realized this year that this kind of store can actually be much, well, there is a lot of potential to grow it by changing or growing the niche, taking a little bit larger view on the niche. There is a huge opportunity there for somebody willing to put in the work to do that. But if we focus just on this store with the type of products that currently, there is also a lot of potential in growing just that with doing a little bit different kind of marketing. And actual question that you asked, was kind of like stuck in my head at the end of 2018. I decided to another store and keep this store on the side and see how the other store would do. And it has actually been, it is kind of the same thing with both of these stores, that there is huge potential in both of the stores that I have. And I could, of course, keep both of the stores, keep growing both. But I think that I have kind of like a personal edge on the second store that I don't have with this first store. So I'm making a rational decision to focus on the second store and forcing myself to let go of this first store, even though I see a lot of potential in this.
Yeah, that's a great answer because you started going into, where the opportunities were to grow. So I know you started covering it a little bit there, but I want to make sure that, we're not missing anything. So, if you were to keep the business, what are some of the ways that you would try to grow it?
Well, the most obvious easy win here is to focus on the education-based marketing. There is actually a huge void in this market for that kind of marketing, as these products are kind of technical. I'm sure that there is a huge base of potential customers that would like to know more about the products, but there is very little good, easy to understand information out there. So especially for somebody willing to create good video and text content, that's like probably at least a 10x chance to grow this business. And focusing more on different kinds of marketing channels, there is like a lot of opportunity there to grow this business just as it is. And then, like I was already referring to, just taking a bigger view on this niche. This is going a little bit beyond how the store is currently, but with a fair amount of work, it would be possible to add more kind of like industrial version of these products, and then item price could go like to 5 figures. So obviously there is huge potential there, but it is going to take a little bit of work, and the buyer needs to be ready to do that. So it's not how this store is currently. That's a little bit different thing.
Sure, yeah. And I think that's something that we'll cover a little bit later, kind of talking about what the buyer needs to be prepared for. So make sure to round up the interview with that at the end. Jumping back a little bit, is there anything you learned from this business that you'd apply to future sites or businesses? Is there something that you were doing that just seemed to really work for you?
Yeah, so this is actually the thing that I learned when I kind of like went to the B2B side of this market, that it's really important to follow the money. Like the B2C side of the business was definitely low ticket items. So focusing on the B2B, a more technical side of this niche was a really huge win. And I've applied that same learning in my second store, and definitely focusing first of all to the higher ticket price items. That's a huge win. And also going back to the education-based marketing, that's an opportunity to focus more on selling kind of like full systems in this market instead of just individual items. And we've had a couple of those kinds of sales, and one of them was 5 figures. So there's obviously a huge win to be had there by focusing more on that.
Yeah, on the flip side of that, has there been anything you tried that didn't work? Maybe might be a source of advice for buyers looking at this business.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a lot of learnings, and one of them has been this can happen in both the B2B and B2C, but there have been some suppliers. I put in a lot of effort into uploading their products and then found out that they didn't really enforce map correctly, like just finding out a little bit too late. So I can talk more on the details with the buyer, but there are some suppliers to be wary of, and I think that's the main thing.
Okay. In terms of traffic and marketing, let's get into that. So, where does the majority of your traffic come from?
Yeah, so that's one of the strengths and weaknesses of this business, that about 75% is currently coming from Google paid traffic. It's mostly Google Shopping, a little bit of text ads, the rest is direct and organic. And obviously, having that amount of paid traffic through basically a single channel can be a risk, but as I haven't been doing other kinds of marketing like no Facebook, no Instagram, nothing like that, it's also an easy win for the buyer if they have experience of doing that.
Okay, well, so you might be answering my next question then. What do you currently do in terms of marketing?
Yeah, that's the answer already there. It's only Google Shopping, mainly Google Shopping and a little bit of text ads. And I've done a little bit of SEO, but it's mainly been like small peaks on the product pages and nothing really systematic. So that's one opportunity as well.
Okay. Yeah, I figured. I know it might sound a little repetitive, but it's worth kind of going over it. I know you just added the SEO note there, so that's
Yeah.
good stuff. What do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
Going back to the traffic, obviously just doing paid traffic be a risk. I think actually that's probably the biggest risk at this point is just having basically just traffic channel. Well, in theory, of course, the price of the products might go up. It might happen, but then again, I think that at least for the main products, the profit margins that healthy, so that even if the prices go up a little bit, there is probably room to raise the prices with right kind of marketing, and the margins will still be healthy. So I think those are the main types of risks.
Okay. Can you describe the amount and type of work you do on this business for maintenance?
Well, if by maintenance, if you mean the kind of work that it takes to create the current revenue source or the amount of revenue, it's mainly customer service and sales. So answering the questions that the customers have and sending out quotes. So basically usually the questions that we get from the customers, they are most often how fast can we ship? Those are really easy and fast to answer. Sometimes they get a little bit more technical. Usually those can be answered by just looking at the manual. If it gets even more complicated, then maybe contacting the suppliers. And then the quotes, which can take, it depends totally on the system that they are looking for. If it's like a large full system, then it can take a few hours to go through all the details. So it really depends on what types of customers there are. But for the how much work it actually takes to run this business at its current level, it's definitely less than 10 hours per week. That's the maximum that I need to put in just to keep this amount of revenue going. And then, of course, for the growing of the business, that's a totally different thing. I haven't been actively working on this business much this year, so I haven't included any kind of estimates about that kind of work in the 10 hours.
Okay. What skills or requirements are there for someone not familiar with the niche or business model? I know this is something that you noted, that there might be some particular skill sets needed for this business.
Yes, well, there are two different answers to that question. So the first is what it takes to just sell these items and not grow the business. And just to be able to sell these items, it takes obviously the buyer or their VAs, they need to have a good understanding of the items. And as these are technical items, it takes a little bit of work to get to that level. There are good resources like text-based resources to understand these products and the full systems. And I also have SOPs, and I can also train the buyer on the basics. So that definitely can be done by basically anyone who has some kind of inclination to selling technical products. Then another part that I wish the buyer would have is a readiness to actually dive deeper into these products, because that's kind of required to do the education-based marketing and to really unlock the potential of this business.
Yeah, you started getting into this a bit, but I want to make sure we cover it. How much support are you offering buyers?
As the products are technical, and I understand that it can feel a little bit scary to jump into a technical niche, I am willing to offer 90 days of both phone and email. And of course, the SOPs and videos that I've done for the VA, they will be part of the package. So I think whole package should work very well. And I'm willing to work with the buyer to make sure that they can get this business running smoothly.
Great. Would you commit to a non-compete?
Yes.
Great. And one final question. Putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Well, there is at least a 10x possibility just doing the education-based marketing, and of course taking a larger view on the niche, maybe even 100x. Totally depends on the buyer, but I see this store kind of like a seed for a much bigger business. There is so much opportunity there for the right kind of buyer who is willing to put in the work to really grow this.
Awesome. Well, that's a great answer. Jaakko, I really am thankful for your time today and going over the entire business. Is there anything I might have missed with you before we get off this interview?
I think I got everything said that I wanted to say, so I hope this works out.
All right, Jaakko. Well, thank you, and looking forward to seeing how this all plays out for you.
Yeah, all right. Thanks.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And if you want more information, the link will be below the video that'll take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing page and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business analysts will be in contact with you, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.